I'm here at the MGM Grand for WPPI in Las Vegas with Joe Switzer of SwitzerFilm. SwitzerFilm is one of the premier filmmakers and photographers in the country, if not the world. Joe has graciously consented to talking about his selection of the recently introduced Sony Alpha A7S full-frame camera for his film productions. So Joe, what does SwitzerFilm do?
Yeah, so we are based in the Midwest, but we travel the world seeing weddings, and we do photo and we do video. And for years we've always shot with Canon, and most recently we've changed to the Sony A7S because for our workflow I can do things faster, I can make it's a lot easier, and I can go in almost all conditions and not have to worry about carrying and lugging around a lot of other stuff. I don't want to, stuff gets in my way a lot of the times. I want to go, I want to grab what I got to grab, and I want to dominate that situation, that wedding, that environment, get in and get out, and keep on going. So, but we travel the world for weddings. We work with companies as large as Martha Stewart weddings, Disney weddings. We see a lot of really cool things. So,
okay, you briefly touched upon that you switched from Canon, the 5D Mark III, to the Sony A7. What prompted that decision? I think we're like a lot of viewers out there. We don't like change. It's just it's not. I don't want to go out and get a whole bunch of new stuff and make big major changes for the company, because we know how to use the Canon. And so when we made this change, what prompted us to do it is because to be able to go from, we're used to having we can only go to like an ISO, for example. Filming with video and ISO, we can only go to about 800 with what we were using with Canon stuff. Now I can go, we feel comfortable filming at 12,000 ISO and putting that with footage that was shot with 100 ISO or 500 ISO or 3,000 ISO. We feel confident with those clips in our final products that we can match with the possibilities when you can go from 800 to 12,000. Well, now I can go to so many places and get so many more different shots. So we went for the Sony A7S because the number one reason is because of low light. And the other reason we went for it is because now we have something that's even smaller, more compact, and it's easier to use for us. We can get more shots. And the third thing I like about it is this audio, like all this audio today we're recording, it's on camera. There's no mic on me. I don't have to. It's one less thing to worry about wireless mics. That the Sony has their attachment piece that takes a direct feed right in there. It's just a lot easier for us. So that's why we have it. That's why we made the change. Okay, I'm going to cheese you a little bit because I know the answer to the question. But how do you feel about audio, Joe?
I always tell everyone, I have 99 problems, but audio ain't one. I don't like more toys and gadgets, and I don't like monitoring audio. I don't like worrying about plugging all these extra speakers and mics and gadgets. So normally in our films, as you know, we don't use a lot of audio but we always capture it. So what I like about the Sony, I got the shotgun audio, but we still can do our wireless lav mics on the groom or on the preacher or whoever's the orchestra is or the ceremony. We can always get that audio too on there, and it's all not on another card or on another field recorder. It's on my Sony. One less thing to worry about. I got enough problems going on a wedding day, so it's a lot easier. Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Sounds like three good advantages.
Yep.
Okay. One concern of potential converts to the Sony A7S is the loss of pixels. From 24 megapixels in your case to Sony's 12 megapixel sensor. Do you think that's a valid concern in your real life experience?
All I care about for all of our customers, all they care about and all I care about is the results, right? So when we just look at a film that we filmed with, for example, the Sony A7S, our last project, industrial company, filmed Texas, Canada, in factories, time lapses outside, hodgepodge of all this different footage. The results of seeing that video versus the project before that, which was with all of our Mark IIIs, the Sony looks better, and that's all I care about. So a lot of times I know, like, there's all these statistics you see, like, when you go out and buy a computer, it says there's all these wonderful things about this computer, but how does it really perform? And sometimes you just got to look at the freaking final result. What do your eyes tell you? And go with that. Okay, so it sounds like you're saying that there's not really even a trade-off for the megapixels, because I know you expressed the other three advantages. There's no loss of image quality in your video, in your film. Right, it looks better. Okay. It looks better.
Okay, well that's nice to know.
That's all we care about. Yep.
Now, I know you've got a unique style. What's your video style, and how does the A7S fit into your styles?
We have our team. We are all about run and gun, and like I said earlier, dominating a room. I want when we show our videos, final product for that customer, when they watch their video, and that bride watches it for her same day edit or for the first time at home, we want her to see, and we want all of her Facebook friends to see, and all of her Instagram friends to see, and all of her Twitter friends to see this one video that is all rock and roll candy shots, and then just roll the credits. We want them to just see something that's just all fireworks and just awesomeness, that they know that they just made the best investment of their life. It's 3 minutes, not 20 minutes. Their friends can watch it, their family still can watch it, and they're going to watch it 1,000 times. And that's what we want to do. We make highlights, music video highlights. We keep it simple. That's all they want. That's all we like to do. Yep.
And I know that you do all that, but there's something more to your style, Joe. Your cameras go all over the place. They go on the ground, they go up high, they go around, they move. You're on
the glide cams and the sliders. And
all that stuff all the time.
Yep. So we abuse cameras. Like these cameras, like they need to be able to. We need to get footage when it's 3 degrees outside or 103. You know what I mean? And we're taking these things and we're in sand, we're on ice, we're in dirt, we're on grass, we're in rocky terrain in Sedona. You know, we're everywhere with these cameras. And I got to be able to take this thing and interchange it super fast. The light's so lightweight, and I can see my screen. It was super bright outside. I looked at the viewfinder. It shuts off my screen and goes to my viewfinder. I don't need all these other attachment pieces. It just works out of the box. And that's what I like about the Sony. It's everywhere all the time, and it's easy to use on all the devices I use, which is a glide cam, a monopod, a tripod, and a slider.
Now you touched upon a convenience that most DSLR users are not familiar with. And since you came from the DSLR world, the viewfinder, how do you like that compared to the DSLR world?
This blows away. To be able to put the Sony on the slider, for example, you're on the ground sliding. Well, before with my Canon, I had to lay down on my belly like a fish out of water, trying to look at my Sony screen while I'm trying to sliding at a slider shot. The Sony, I just flip my screen up and I can see it right there. It's so much easier. I get probably twice the amount of shots I could normally get with just a different camera on that same slider. So
good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know you've used the highly acclaimed Panasonic Lumix GH4 in the past. Mm-hmm. How would you compare the two cameras for video quality, size, weight? You know, What do you think?
You know, for Sony versus the Panasonic, I think for a lot of the aerial guys, the feedback I've gotten is that they still like their GH4 for the aerial stuff, because the Sony, nothing's perfect, right? And I think when people are flying the Sonys, the rolling shutter, it's maybe not as good as like the Panasonic GH4. So I think a lot of the people that are holding on to that camera are still buying that. That's probably doing a lot of aerial stuff, but I've not used that a whole lot, so.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I know you use primarily prime lenses.
Uh-huh.
Can you kind of talk to me about how you use them and why you use them and
Yes.
the effect you get with them?
So prime lenses for us. So we have a team of 4, 2 photo, 2 video. We all have about 3 lenses, and they're all primes. Besides, we have one 24-70 for the photographer. And we use primes because if you and I are shooting that day, I know that Jeff has his lenses. He's got his 50, he's got his 200, he's got his 14. I've got my 85, I've got my 135, I've got my 24. So I know that your shots are, you're forced to get different shots than I am, and I'm going to be getting different shots than you are. I like the way the prime lens makes me work. The final product is better because we're getting more variety. When they watch that final video, we need the close-ups, we need the wide shots, we need the mid shots. It's got to have everything. And prime lenses make me do that, and it looks better. It's more crisp. So
now talk about the depth of field and how you use that, because you shoot your lenses pretty much wide open all the time.
Yep. We always try, in any situation, we want to bring our subject out to the audience. So when it comes to motion, no, completely opposite, right? If I'm using a glide cam, I can't focus at 1.2 on a bride running around. You know? So what we try to do is we try to shoot, you know, if we have a lens that goes down to 1.2 or one that goes to 1.8 or 2.8, whatever it is, we always have it at lowest setting because we want to bring our subject out to our audience.
Okay, now I also know that you use Canon lenses, for the time being at least,
Yep.
on your Sony camera because
We do.
you switched over and you've got some nice lenses.
Yep.
How do you find, you're using a Metabones adapter, is that right?
Yep. Yep.
How do you find the Canon lenses working with the Sony cameras?
So I don't love using Metabones adapters with Canon lenses. Honestly, I don't. What I'd love to do is, this is something I'm doing right now, I'm buying my first Sony lens. I've never thought I'd be saying that because I don't want to deal with the problems of adapters and lenses. The whole reason to get a Sony, right, is I want that sharp and crispness. And I don't want extra weight and extra stuff in the way. It's against everything that I do, against our whole principle. We want less stuff, easier, right? And what we notice is on the Metabones, and whenever you attach the Canon lenses sometimes, you have a lot of, the screen goes dark. You take it off, put it back on, turn the power, turn it back on. Oh, then it finally turns on again and works. I don't like problems. I don't need more stuff going wrong. So I think it's inevitable that our first, Sony lens actually will be purchased today, but I think it's inevitable that we'll eventually transition to all Sony lenses.
Simpler solution.
And I don't want to change, but when it makes sense and it works better, you just got to do it. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, now you also use an unconventional approach to exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us why you do it and what it is?
Sure. So we get a lot of evil looks, and it gets pretty quiet whenever we talk to people, and we tell them that we generally expose with shutter speed. So, in other words, I don't care that my shutter speed is at 80 or 200 or 800. I don't care. I use that to use for exposure. And what we found is that in the final products, we can't tell when our video clips have shot all those different shutter speeds. We always keep our ISO at a reasonable level, but it's a lot faster just to change our shutter speed. It's all about speed for us. We can change it fast on the fly, get that exposure clocked in right away, get that 3-second shot, and move on. So, of course you want to keep your ISO low as you can. Of course you do. But I keep our aperture's already locked in, right? Then I'm worried about getting my ISO to a reasonable ISO, and then let's really fine-tune the shot with shutter speed.
So you've learned when to break the rules.
Okay. Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, so you don't use ND filters at all?
We don't.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. And you've kind of gone over
Yep.
The low light situation. 12.8, that works for the Sony for your circumstances?
It does. So, we went on a full moon night in the middle of winter. We went out with these A7Ss, and actually I wrote an article about this that comes out next month.
Can we put that up?
Put that up, yeah.
Okay.
Put that link up. It's
Okay.
free. It's for free, and you can see a whole video about this. But
Okay, I'll put that up
amazing.
at the end of the video.
Yeah. The bottom line is, we could not believe it looked just as good at a 3000 ISO or 2000 ISO. We cranked it up to 12,000 in the dark. We could see things that we couldn't see with our eyes. Like, we were right there looking on this boat outside on the water. We could see more in the camera than we could see in real life.
Cool.
And it was crisp. Yeah.
Joe, how does the focusing compare between the Canon DSLR and the Sony mirrorless A7S?
The focusing on the Sonys, we get way better, more crisp shots on the Sonys than the Canons. I can zoom in to and I guess it's called 2x zoom. I call it the 2x zoom. I just, with my index, I go double tap, I can lock in and focus on an eyeball. I know exactly where my focus is. With my Mark IIs and my Mark IIIs, it wasn't as fast, and this thing really locks in my sharpness better. It has a better feel to me. It just feels like I can lock in faster.
Okay, so you're comfortable
Yeah.
with the difference. It's not worse.
But that's not the best thing. That's nothing compared to what really is awesome. I can record, and while I'm recording, I can zoom in and refocus on things. That's what really matters
That's
most.
nice.
Because when I'm filming things, I'm trying to film moments. You know, I don't want to miss anything. As I'm recording, to lock in, refocus on people that obviously people are always moving like they shouldn't be.
Right.
And then you keep rolling and you can get that shot and you know you're on that eyeball. So that's what blows me away.
Yeah, you don't want a sharp nose and out of focus eyeball, do you?
This nose here, look at that, the honker right there. Zoom in on that thing.
Oh. Okay, so how difficult was it for you to learn the new controls, the menus, the dials, you know, the stuff?
I hate learning stuff. I don't want to learn new menus. I'll tell you what, like, I feel like they really simplified this menu system compared to other cameras. There's less options on here for me, and that's what I like. But they still don't limit you. You can still shoot RAW, and you can still, you know, they're producing movies on these things. So the transition from going, you know, Canon to Sony using this menu system, it took us probably a day to learn to get to the right setting and the right settings for us.
Okay, so it's relatively intuitive.
Yep.
Okay, at least for you.
Yeah.
Because you're a pretty sharp guy, so you know.
And I hate that stuff. It was easy, yeah.
Now, I know you switched your assistant, Kristen, over to the Sony 2. How well did that work out?
Changed Kristen over to it, you said?
Yeah, getting Kristen over to it.
Oh. Kristen ends up they all teach me everything. I just listen to them.
Come here,
so.
Kristen.
What?
Come here,
I
Kristen.
didn't know I was going to be in this.
Come on behind Joe. This is Kristen.
Hello.
She's 22 years old and she's
Hi,
really
guys.
she's pretty fabulous. She's a really good
not that good.
filmmaker.
They're
She's
really
a pretty
playing
good
this up
filmmaker.
right now. So,
Okay, Joe, your films are fabulous. You have a creative concept second to none. Do you have a link we can share with everybody so they can take a look at your work?
You know, I think actually the link that I'd love for you to pass out and send is Kristen and I's first wedding together, which was beginning of the year in Seattle.
Okay,
and
great.
It's one that we're really proud of and we had a lot of fun at. I think they would really enjoy.
Okay, so that's going to be on the screen as we get questions. Are there any questions from anybody here? No? Okay. Hey, thank you, Joe. I really appreciate your time and effort.
Yeah.
You're a fabulous filmmaker,
Thank you
and
so
I'm
much.
so delighted to be able to talk to you.